This is the Red Eleven Show with me, Josh Everton, Andy Simcox, Craig Wood, and we've got a special guest in here today to come and justify his prediction of Barnsley this season. Gab Sutton is with us as well. And Andy, quite rightly there, wearing the You're a Wrongin' t-shirt after Gab's controversial prediction. So we're going to delve into that a little bit more, see what how people are seeing Barnsley from the outside as well. So let's get stuck into it. So, first off, Andy, let's start with where have you got us finishing so far this season? So I'm looking at your prediction. You've got us down as sixth. Looking
Like
at
that. Like
yeah,
that.
so
That's on the basis that we're actually going to sign somebody that will score goals
yes, because there
to play
is
play alongside Cosgrove,
yeah, it is a little bit
mainly.
awkward doing predictions sort of before the transfer window's finished and everything's properly settled down. So it's still predictions. Craig, you've got us down as fifth. And I've not got us in the top six. I think we'll finish eighth in around that race season. But Gab, where have you got us to finish this season?
I've said 17th.
Oh, and I think that's I've seen the responses on Twitter, and I don't think it's not been as reaction as I thought it might have been when I saw it of sort of a 17th prediction because like Andy's mentioned already, we're a couple of signings short of where we need to be, but just from the outside, it's just interesting for us to understand where's that
Sure.
17th prediction come from?
Sure. Well, I think there's a few things. First of all, I put a lot of emphasis on is this a football club that I've got loads and loads of trust in? I don't think Barnsley are quite yet there yet. And I think there's been some progress that's been made over the last couple of years, but I don't think there's a an experienced football head at the club, which is a little bit of a concern for me. I've got a bit of apprehension from a compatibility perspective with Darrell Clark because I think Darrell Clark likes more experienced players. I've heard that apparently Barnsley want to go for younger players. I've literally seen with my own eyes Darrell Clark say at a fans forum when he was Cheltenham Town manager that he likes working with older players. So I don't necessarily see the compatibility there, and I think that's going to become a problem. And I also think that other than Mail de Javigny, Matthew Craig, Luca Connell and Adam Phillips, I actually don't really like the squad very much. I thought you were really poor last season, and I think you're a long way off being a top six side. And I can see you dropping off in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think that's sort of aside from the players, sort of as you mentioned there is a little bit of a unknown in that. Because obviously Jordan Williams has gone from last season, Nicky Cadden, Herbie Kane's gone for last season, Devante Cole, sorry, has taken the 20 goals that he scored as well. John McAtee, another strong player who had last season. I appreciate that those players haven't been replaced necessarily so far, but the one thing I would say is I think we are starting from a better foundation from where we did start last season in terms of there's Luca Connell in there now, there's Adam Phillips and there's Craig are sort of the three. Craig's probably going to replace Herbie Kane in that, but I think defensively, when you look at where we started last season, we had Lapata coming in from non-league making a big step up. We had Jack Shepherd coming from Ponty Collieries, who I once played against. As sort of the
They must be bad then.
as sort of the jump in which he'd made. So I think in terms of that, and Donovan Pines as well, who we signed in January, got injured, didn't play for a couple of months while he got speed, then got injured 2 or 3 games into his start. I think we are starting from a slightly higher platform than what we did last season.
I take your points on board. I think Pines certainly showed potential in those 4 games. I'm reluctant to go too big on him on those 4 games, so I think that's going to be dictated over a larger sample size. Similarly, Mal de Javigny had a poor start and then actually came good after that, so you never quite know.
He only had one bad game, to be fair. His
Okay,
first game
fine,
were
right.
atrocious.
Get him
After
told,
that, he were all
Craig.
right.
Get him told. Go on, Craig. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Get into his ribs. Right, can I just get into his ribs and then you have him?
Well
right.
then.
Darrell Clark just wants to sign young ones, and he signed a couple of real young ones. You know, I think unless I remember, are they about 18, 19-year-old in Mark Roberts and Conor Hourahan? Because they're really young players, aren't they, Gabe? When you're saying he wants to work with older ones, he only signs you. He'll only be working with young ones. That's too old. That's too old. One, a strong centre half will throw in that can virtually cover the entire width of the pitch. We've got Josh Earl, who you were raving about when we signed him. So you've not even mentioned him in your little, what's the word I'm looking for? Diatribe, when you were banging on in your flipping
I'm going to say tirade.
tirade. Yeah. I mean, flip it. He's got Peter Bredan as 13 as well, but that's down to Peter.
They've lost the two main defenders, to be quite honest as well. Yeah, I would just say,
Go on, Craig.
I get experience not last year, but the year before, especially. We were really young. We had a lot of holes in the team, especially when it comes to terms of experience. But experience, I think we've got enough in as coaches, not just as players. I mean, we've got Dean Whitehead, who's just come in as a coach. We've got Devaney. We've got Bobby Hassel. We've got, obviously, manager. We've got John Stead as well. You know, and all these are all EFL.
So, Craig, from a coaching point of view, Bobby Hassel, Barnsley legend, Martin Devaney, Barnsley legend. Is there a sense that the club's looking to legends to fill those coaching roles and not Conor Hourihane, player coach, Barnsley legend? Is the club looking to heroes of the past to fill these coaching roles as opposed to have a really scientific process to find the best coaches to develop these players?
Well, we could go out and buy it and get every coach that you know, best in class. But I think if you look at the youngsters that we've fetched through, I think they've earned the stripes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at the youngsters that have actually come through while Bobby Hassel's been the head of youth and while Devaney's been the main coach. I think they're learning on the job, and that's the way we like to do things. Even with players, you learn through playing. We don't buy ready products. We like to look at players that are young, have got an high ceiling, and we like to, you know, play them until they hit that ceiling, and then we sell them.
So
then
Craig,
replace them.
Barnsley's, if I can just come in on that, Craig, because I think
we like Brighton for Chelsea.
Well, I think you make some great points, but if that is the idea for Barnsley, why have you appointed a manager who who openly prefers working with that? That's how Darryl Clark's got a great CV. Don't get me wrong; he did a fantastic job at Bristol Rovers, fantastic job at Port Vale. In terms of his managerial ability, I think his in-game management is really strong, and he's got a good track record. But he's not a developer of players. So if Barnsley are thinking we've not got the money to buy proven top 6 League One players right now, we're going to need to develop players for a couple of years. Why appoint Darryl Clark on a 3-year
Well,
contract?
I'll answer that. It's kind of a long way of going around it. When these owners first bought this club, right, well, pre-Brexit, they wanted to buy foreign young players, fetch them into our league, develop them, and sell them. Brexit happened, and then it just, I mean, we just rocketed down the league. So then we got rid of Conway and Lee, and these new owners are now learning on the job. So they've come. So they've obviously been listening to Conway Lee, a best way to make money and all this, and monetize and all this stuff. And I think they're slowly getting round to the idea that you can't just have young players. You can never win with kids. You know, you need to have a nice, solid foundation. So I think that comes from us coaches, which is why I think we've, you know, and I think they're listening to the fans as well, because we've screamed out for it. We've said, look, John Stones didn't come through on his own. You know, Holgate didn't come through on his own. Hourihane didn't come through on his own. He had a big foundation around him to teach him the things, you know, that makes you a really good professional player. And yeah.
Great point there, Craig. Sounds like it's going to be good.
Start Jallow. We need to put a Cosgrove next to him, you know, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think they're learning slowly but surely. They're getting it. Now, I just wish they were a bit snappy with these kits every year.
Very good segue there into the kits and them not being
ready in all sizes. Yep.
Can I just remind you? You'll remember this. You remember this, Gabe? You know the season that we got relegated when Val left. The season that we'd finished sixth and just missed out in the playoffs. That one. We got relegated, didn't we? Because we were in the main rubbish, absolutely rubbish with two rubbish coaches.
Finished bottom of the league.
Yeah. Can
After
anybody,
Derby had 21 points docked.
when I say anybody, I mean, can one person remember what he predicted as a finish for Barnsley? Anybody remember?
Playoffs, wasn't it?
No, might have been higher
Can
than
you
that.
remember what you said, Gabe? Where did we
I-
finish? Where we were going to finish? Go on, Gabe. Where were we going to finish, Gabe? According to your
Second.
expert opinion, second.
Oh,
Not.
gosh.
It missed the 4 off. So all this about
Typical Birmingham fan missing them zeros and fours and stuff off their
Oh,
accounting.
very good.
Thank you.
You see, what you got to remember is that people often say Gabe is as EFL loyalty. Well, as a Republican, I'm telling you, he ain't. Not now. He might have been one day, but he ain't now. Not now. He said 17. He's saying only 6 teams worse than us. He's listed 16 clubs that are going to finish above us. And if he's right, I'll buy him a t-shirt. If he's wrong, he needs to come back on and apologise and said that he'll buy us all a t-shirt that says Gabe's a wrong'un, not just you're a wrong'un. Gabe's a wrong'un.
That's a deal, Andy. I'm happy.
I don't think you'll be able to get enough material for me, Gabe, to be honest with you.
Oh,
Tom
don't
will
do
be able
yourself
to
down, Craig.
Tom will be able to sort it out for him, Craig, and send him the bill. Don't
mate,
worry
I've
about
got
that,
4
Craig.
kids, I'm done.
I'll take care of that for sure.
I'll get Tom on it ready, Craig. Don't you worry about that. Gabe's a wrong'un.
Okay,
I'll get him on it.
So let's say, how many positions shall we say between us that Barnsley have got that's top 10 capable? How many, if we're looking at a best 11, what do you reckon, Josh?
I'd say the entire back three that we brought through of Pines, of sort of the rotation of Pines, Roberts, MDG, and Josh Earl. That I think that rotation three is top 10. I'd say the midfield three of Craig, Connell, and Phillips. Or
I'll agree with you on the midfield.
Varian plays in there.
Yeah.
I'd say the midfield's top 6.
I would also say left wing back, Callum Styles. If we can get him back to the Vals Callum Styles, definitely top 10. Because in that season, he was electric.
Do you know
also, O'Keefe as well.
I mean, that's an interesting point, Craig. I'd kind of worked on the assumption that Callum Styles was going to go. But I think O'Keefe, I'm not sure I agree with you on. I think he's had a few chances at this level, and I don't think he's.
I think he just needs a run of games. I think when Collins were in charge, he were him and Cotter all time swap. You know, put him left wing back, right wing back. He never got a consistent run at right wing back. And I
thought he did, and I thought he was too hit and miss. But it'd be so hit and miss in one game. You'd have 20 minutes of him being brilliant, and then 5 minutes of chaos. Blackpool at home were an example of that. If it looked great, and then just went and slid on CJ Hamilton and gave a penalty away. He wasn't going anywhere either. He just went and gave away a crazy penalty. I think I get that with O'Keefe of being inconsistent. So I wouldn't say wing backs. I also work on the assumption of Styles leaving at some point in this window. I think he's had two loans away from the club now. It seems I was shocked to see him involved in the friendly against Mallorca on Friday.
I thought he did well in the friendly, and I thought he did well for Hungary as well.
I agree, but I just didn't expect him to play at all because I know Doug Clark's had a conversation with him, and the fact that he's playing gives me a little bit of confidence that he'll stay. And if he does, I think you're right there, Craig. That is another position in which we have got at least a top 10 player. I think it's up front. It's sort of replacing them goals, and especially playing a 3-5-2. The quality of your wing backs is so important to provide that width. And Jordan Williams under that season with Michael Duff was probably the best right wing back in the league. As we've said there, we've not really got that quality. Barry Cotter looked all right against Mallorca, but again, is inconsistent between 5 minutes.
He's
so it is.
Like I say, his legs go faster than his brain, and it annoys me sometimes because he don't know what he's going to do, and I don't know. He plays well sometimes, but I don't think he's a starting right wing back for us.
But you're all right, Craig, because our legs don't go faster than our brains.
My legs don't go faster than Alt, mate, to be fair. Alt more the walking pace and
Sorry, Gabe.
But I think for the 3-5-2 system, I think the wing backs are a really important role. And you've got a few players there that I'm sort of thinking, are they going to be quite up to that level?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's sort of
it's an area that
improve.
what did impress me against Mallorca, bearing in mind that it was warm as well, is that we got a few players, like you said, Callum Stiles in the second half and Barry Cotter in both halves, closing down quickly rather than let's look to pass it back. Let's look to get across the back three and tap about with it. A bit like under Collins and a bit like under England in the group stages.
Way too passive.
We were in the faces, absolutely in the faces, getting up, and that included Johnny Russell in a different position, playing on the right of the midfield three, and he was straight in to try and challenge. And I'm not seeing that in him before, because he could actually. I didn't realise he could move that quick, because I thought he was just ponderous and just stood there. He was moving to close people down. So for me, there's a change in style. I don't know whether Darryl Clark's going to be successful or not for us, but from what I have seen, at least with pushing forward and doing what I believe is going to do, which is close people down and press, which is what we wanted all last season, and it didn't get it except for about 2 matches when we played excellently. So
what I think is going to be key from watching that Mallorca game is, I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but Craig was the sitting midfielder, which freed Connell to go forward.
Yeah.
And I thought, he's got tons of energy. We all know he's a scouser, so he's got that dog in him to be able to press and close people down next to Phillips. So I think that could be key for us this season, freeing him up not to have to sit back all the time and marshal the midfield from a defensive position, but to get up into the final third. And we all know he's got a long shot on him as well. So I agree with wing backs. I'm still hoping that Styles will come good. I still remember that young 18-year-old kid we signed all them years ago. I know he's trying to get in Championship. I just hope he's realised his best chance of doing that is with us and playing well and not having his head down like he's had past couple of seasons. So but we still need players through the door. Like I said, a striker next to Cosgrove is monumental. I know everybody's shouting for Jallo, but I still think it's too much for him, too young. We need somebody who's.
I think though, Craig, you've kind of got to give him. So I certainly don't think you can have another season where Fabio Jalli doesn't start a league game, because that's not how you develop players that are going to have a high sell-on value if you're only ever going to use them from the bench. So for me, you've got to try and trust him.
Oh yeah, let him play, but like I said, don't just say you're a starter guaranteed every week. But give him like the odd game, every 3 or 4 fixtures, and let him start.
Yeah.
Get somebody in on loan up front. I think Joe Taylor's name's been going around a bit, so I think he's a hell of a striker at Luton. I think we've come up against him last year, and he wore a pressing monster for. Who did he play for?
Lincoln.
Lincoln City.
Yeah. He impressed me, so that'd be somebody I'd definitely be impressed if we got.
I do think though, on the topic of Fabio, of why not? We're never going to know if we don't play him or start him.
Because if he doesn't play well, then the crowd's going to get on his back, and then that's it. The season's over before it's begun.
But we're talking about someone that's 18-year-old here, playing at Portugal international level, and has been watched by elite level clubs. He's been watched by the best clubs in the world. And they're not going to be wasting their resource driving all the way to Barnsley for one, because he must have the talent and the experience. Because I know when we re-signed his contract, we were literally fighting against elite level clubs, and the fact that he's re-signed with us, to me, shows that there's some certainty that he's playing a big part this season. Whether I think that's fair anymore, not of pinning a promotion chance on an 18-year-old that's not started a league game yet, is unfair. But I think that also says to me a lot of why the expectations are this season of it might not be top 6 already. Just off the base of League One's got a lot tougher this season. You've got Birmingham coming down with millions and spending a lot of money on very strong League One, if not Champions quality players.
Like that's different than what they usually do, and still don't do anything.
I mean, I'm looking at that side. It looks thingy. You look at Charlton recruiting well as well. Bolton have not lost anybody barring the loan players that have gone back, so they're still in the position in which they were in. Peter have sold 2 of their better players, so I'll say they'll need a little bit of rebuild. But I think in that top six, I don't see us instantly being there. I think one thing I'll put with Fabio is he'll get at least the first half of the season, and then if it's becoming a problem, then we'll sign someone in January. I'm not entirely sure that striker's going to come through the door in the summer.
My only issue with Jallo is I don't think he's strong enough for this league. I think he's going to get kicked the hell out of. I think he's going to take it round 2 or 3 players. He's going to play brilliantly for 2 or 3 games, and then centre backs are just going to start kicking it out him.
But what I would say to that though, Craig, is I think you've got to work with some of those imperfections a little bit if you want to develop players with a high ceiling, because you're not going to get realistically a player of Fabio Jallo's talent and pedigree and potential if he's not a bit slight or if he's not a little bit raw. So you've kind of got to say, listen, Fabio, get yourself in the gym over the summer. We're going to try and work with you. And you're going to be very much part of our first team squad. But I don't think Barnsley are in a position where they can
first team's bigger than just the main 11 though. That's why I'm thinking if he comes off the bench in the 60th minute for a handful of games, he starts a handful of games, bleed him in slowly but surely. But don't just say, right, you're going to have starting berth, you're going to play every game. And, I think that probably could be a little bit too much too soon. But I'm all for bleeding him in.
But I mean, he's 18, 19 now. I think he's getting to the stage where I think he is going to want a few starts. And I don't see the physicality as a reason not to play him. So I think we agree. Just give him a few games, a few starts next season. And see what
he has impressed when he come on sub appearance last season. I thought he did pretty well. But like I say, I think he's still got a learning curve to go.
I think he's
definitely got the talent there.
We've got to remember that we'll be playing, if Darrell's anything to be believed, we're going to be playing in-game and out-of-game different formations. So it's not necessarily just going to stick with 5-3-2, so it'd be one of two. So he will get kicked out of. But if he's playing with Cosgrove, he's playing against a big target man, little but we're a big target man. We could also change in-game, depending on how it's going, playing with 3 up front, and him either behind the 2 strikers, or to the right, or we could even change to 4-4-2. Who knows what we're going to do? If we played 4-4-2, he could play on either wing, but let's say the right side, on the right wing, and come in and be the player that Luke Thomas was, that we've been crying out for to be able to change games. That could be Fabio, could be him. Don't automatically assume he's just going to be there to play up front with one other striker, because it is going to get hammered against 2 big centre halves, especially if we play high balls up. He's not going to win it in the air because he's not big enough. We've got to play according to people's strengths, not just for Jallo, but for other people to play according to the strengths. So he could play in a number of positions for us that would be effective either at the start of a game or as it goes on.
Certainly, and just on that point, Andy, I think one of Clark's you could call it a strength is he's happy to change formations, and he'll do it in game as well as between games. So if he sees something that's not working, he might rejig the formation early on. He's not afraid to take action or at half time. So I think that could certainly favour versatile forwards like Jallo, who are happy to play out wide or play as a second striker or something like that. So I'd expect you to change formation a lot more than you maybe have done over the last couple of seasons.
We need to be careful. Don't start saying that we might have a plan B and a plan C, because we're not used to that. We're not even used to a plan A half the time. So if all last season, if we changed players, we didn't change anything else. They're playing exactly the same way, but with different players. And a lot of people were saying they're into plan A, but they're certainly into plan B. I'm absolutely expecting a plan B and a plan C as well. So anything could happen with Jallo, with any of them. Anything could happen.
Anyway, I'm wanting some information on Jackson Smith, because I've not seen much of it. Now you roam around League 2 as well. So what's your appraisal of him?
I think
roam around. Sticks his nose in. Is that what you mean, Craig?
He does his job.
Oh, does he? Oh, does his job? Oh, it's not what you were saying earlier.
I think he had a decent season for Walsall last year. Fair shot stopper. I'm not convinced that he's ready for League One level. I think he's him and Ben Killip, I would imagine that they're at sort of similar levels. So I don't know. I mean, Josh, I think you were saying off air that you're expecting to go for another goalkeeper, possibly.
Yeah, apparently we've been rumoured with I can't remember his name, it's the Arsenal keeper that's been on tour with them over in
Time.
Arsenal. Yeah, I think it's Heim, is who's rumoured to be coming in. And it's just been rumoured that there's a keeper coming in that's currently on tour of a Premier League club. And after sort of deciphering the way of it being, it seems like he's gonna be the one that comes in who's I think got 30 caps or something like that for Estonia. So he seems like there's a keeper coming in that's gonna be basically number one.
That's another instance where the owners are learning. Can you remember 3 seasons ago? They were like, "We're never going to loan anybody because we don't want to develop other players, other teams' players."
I thought that was
But now,
it was Paul
yeah,
Conway that
Paul
said
Conway.
that.
that's what I'm saying. But they're learning because now we're starting to loan players
Well,
in.
it's a different ownership, so they've probably got a different.
Yeah, but they were still there or thereabout. They were still roaming around.
We're still
To go back to
different.
me,
There's a lot of roaming about going on, Craig.
yeah.
Is
why
that your
not?
new word? You're
Yeah.
going to use that all season, roaming
Yeah.
about, roaming about the left wing, that sort of thing.
Well, I was thinking more through centre at part, but yeah.
There's one thing I did want to
Go
mention.
for marauding, Craig. Marauding
when-
sounds much more positive. Get into them than
When-
roaming. Roaming's just, dollying about.
Get back in about roaming. When
Roaming charges,
oh my
Craig.
God.
Go for roaming charges, Craig.
When Daryl Clark did first come in, I know you were quite apprehensive, sort of the project of what he's coming into, based on what he'd done previously at Bristol Rovers, and Port Vale. Sort of the expectation being a little bit higher, and obviously it being in League One as well. You mentioned already sort of about the experience aspects that Daryl Clark likes to go down as opposed to the useful aspect. And you mentioned about the compatibility of him at Barnsley. Do you think there is sort of anything within that of like sort of the expectation, the structure, the stature of the club compared to where he's been previously necessarily?
Not so much that actually. I think it's I think as I rate Daryl Clark very highly as an in-game manager, so I'm not expecting Barnsley to fall completely away in too many games without a fight, if you like, because I do think that you're gonna, if you go behind, you're gonna come back with something else. Under Daryl Clark, because that's the sort of manager that he is, because he's very instinctive and very intuitive. I just feel like I think he's definitely someone who thrives on like the high stakes occasions, because that's I think how his sort of mind works, and actually on a day-to-day developing players side of things, I'm not actually convinced that he's very technical or very tactical. And I sort of look at the coaching setup. You brought in Dean Whitehead, I think recently, so hopefully that helps. Obviously you got player coaching Conor Hurahan, who's new to coaching, and I think there's a variety of different perspectives on Martin Devaney. But so I just look at, whereas you look at somebody else like, for instance, Ruben Selles at Reading, who had this incredible coaching career at Southampton, or Michael Scabala at Lincoln City, who had a brilliant coaching career at Leeds. I don't necessarily know if I necessarily see that at Barnsley. So that's a bit of a question mark for me, seeing as the whole sort of idea from the board's point of view is to try and develop players and improve players day to day. I don't know if you've quite got the coaching team that I'm.
We had Jose Moraes, who worked under Jose Mourinho. Trust me, we've been stung by people with good CVs before.
Carried his water bottles, I think.
I think what it is, I think, especially our club, I think it's unique to a lot of big clubs in this division, because we're a small town. So all the coaching staff are not just colleagues, they're friends. They live on the same streets, they talk to the same people. It's like it's a really small town, close knit. And I think that's where some of the energy comes from around the club, because in terms of young players, we've been developing them for a long time now, and they all live together. The students, when they come and move in, they all move in to the same houses on the same street. So I think I get what you're saying, but Conor Ram working with under 18s before he come in here. He were doing coaching assignments while he was at what was his last club?
Derby.
Derby.
Okay.
They were working with
okay.
Derby's under-18s. They were working with our under-18s at the same time.
Under
Apparently.
16s and Aston Villa's under 16s as well.
They also, when we signed Whitehead, they also said that Oran's going to be working on personal player development. They're going to have John Stead working on possession, and they've all got their own little departments. I think it said at the bottom on homepage. So I don't know. I like the fact that they've all played at EFL and they know what it's about, and I don't necessarily think that having a good CV is all you need. I think you need to have had the experience to be good at the job as well.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
That's good to see. Johnston's doing
I think I
forwards.
definitely think from a track record point of view, I think I like Darrell Clarke as a from a track record, like he's won promotions from League Two with Bristol Rovers and Port Vale, got back-to-back promotions actually with Bristol Rovers. But I do think that the standard of League One this season, the financial climate, the standard of coaching is a bit of a step up. I would back Darrell Clarke as a firefighter at this level. I'd even back him as a firefighter in the Championship, someone that you'd appoint midway through a season to try and keep you up. But I think to try and lead a team into a playoff sort of conversation or a top half side, I think that requires a different level of coaching acumen, if you like, that I'm not sure is Darrell Clarke's forte. So I think he's got a fantastic record, but I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to be the person to take you forward.
No, all right. John Steady's possession. I've just checked.
It's good to know he's doing possession and not strikers. That makes a lot of sense to me. Forward, not doing what he's good at. I do find that interesting in sort of the take of Darrell Clarke there, because it kind of, I get that from the interviews in which we've had of when he first came in, he's like a sweat on the shirt's non-negotiable, and 10% non-negotiable. It reminds me a lot of when Flitcroft took over and kept us up on the final day against Huddersfield, of sort of the motivational aspect, and then sort of goes hand in hand with his ability to do like pivotal and important in-game change as well, to sort of do that. I think that backs that up. I think it is going to be a test to see what he is like then, with sort of the expectations going up, and as you mentioned there, of players developing and moving on, moving the ceiling a little bit higher, and then sort of setting themselves up for promotion and moving forward a little bit further. It'll be interesting to see, because it does seem like the expectations are a little bit different compared to what he's worked with previously. And it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to that. And
it needs. Oh, I was just going to say, it needs to get the fans on side straight away, because Oakwell last year were dismal. It needs to get an exciting style of football back at Oakwell, because without the fans, it's not going to work. That's a guaranteed, because sometimes last year I had my daughter that I took to games, and she was like, I don't want to go. Nobody's cheering. It's just, we're just sat there cold, and as a dad, I wanted to go there and be excited. I want to watch exciting football, and under Collins, it just wasn't like that. So it's a must to get the fans inside. And I think that is just as pivotal as having a good striker, so.
No, I do think it is. I think he's got off to a good start in terms of getting people on side from what he said in the interviews. He's not, I think everyone sort of bought into what he's going to be. And then after seeing the game against Mallorca, it backs up what he said. Like, he's even got Barry Cotter flicking ball over players' heads, spinning them, and somehow looks like he's in control of the ball, which is something we've not seen the entirety.
Must be an accident, that, mate. Must be an accident.
It's mercurial.
It looked like
mercurial buzzer.
Honestly, he's going to be a revelation this season.
He was best player on pitch.
He was.
Anybody that saw that game would think, go on, Bazza. Go on. Mallorca want to sign him.
They didn't help but shove us over all game.
I know.
I was actually quite happy when they played West Bromwich Albion the day after, and one of them got punched. Not that I condone any violence in football. I think it should stay away from football, but
it was disgracefully funny.
I got a smirk on my face when it happened. That's what I'm saying.
And it was one of Gabe's rivals.
And you've got us for top six.
Because I don't know any better.
Yeah, that's true.
About as good as Gabe. I had us in top six last year, and we were nay saying, including you, Josh. And where did we finish? All this doom and gloom, we pass it out at the back or around at the back, and it what? awful to watch for a long swathes of the season. We still finished sixth. And to be honest,
finished 21st though.
Come close. Well, for me, all we've got to do is finish 16th.
We did a Chef Wednesday though towards the end.
Only got to finish 16th, and the t-shirts are on the way, Craig. That's all we need. It's an easy gain for me and you, Craig, isn't it?
What happened
That's all
if you
we've got to
finished
do.
lower than 17th?
Just get it to 16th, and jobs are good, and Craig.
Then Andy's got to buy you 4.
You go, okay, all right, I'll take that.
I don't know. It's gonna be easy. Gonna be easy.
I have put
will.
us. I think I've put us 5th or 6th, but at the minute it's 10th. I do think that we are going to sign a striker. I do think we are going to improve in the next. So that is a caveat to having
exactly that
people coming in. You know, it won't just as the squad is now. I think it's probably 10th, 12th.
How many signings would you need then, Craig, for you to go to 5th or 6th?
At the very least, it's got to be 2, possibly 3. We need a striker.
You've only made 3 signings so far, and only one of them, I'd argue, enhances the first 11.
Because we've got some youngsters coming through that I think can make an impact. I think Jorgen
Nathan.
He's played really well in pre-season from what I've seen so far. I think Jack Shepherd can do a job. Got Lopata, who's not on loan anymore. You know, he was okay. I wouldn't say he was a starter, but he could fill an hole.
but Craig, for somebody like Jorgen Nathan, he can. I'm sure he can come in and do okay and hold his own at League One level. But if we're talking about one of your midfielders gets injured and you need someone to step in, it feels like a bit of a jump, I guess, considering he's just coming through from under 21s football, and it's not like he had too many appearances last season. I don't think. Certainly didn't start a game.
Not the only one.
There's him and Chapman that have been sporadic and have had odd cup game, you know, and odd bench appearance. But we've also got Johnny Russell as well that can come in. He can play the sitting role, or he can play further forward. I think
don't forget Hourahan.
Hourahan as
well. Play.
Hourahan as well.
He's a coach, though. He should be focusing on coaching. I don't think doing both.
But I think
they've got enough coaches. Don't tie into Josh's mantra. Player coaches can play and be coaches.
Gianluca Vialli.
It requires multitasking.
He was a manager.
I don't think you can do both.
He's not multitasking for 90 minutes. Is the manager's guy on the field.
You're thinking, Andy, you're thinking, right, I've got to get myself, I've got to do my warm-ups, I've got to do the running right down the touchlines, to do all those stretches and everything.
He just does it with them.
What?
He just does it with them.
But
match day.
It's
match day's got there's 2 of them. There's Clark and there's Devaney. That's match day. Okay. That's on match day. The rest is on the training ground. If he's playing, and I sincerely hope for a fair bit of the games that Hourahan plays, he'll be on the pitch playing as Conor Hourahan. But he's also got that up there. Look how many games he played last year for Derby, and they went up. You know, he organises things. So don't write him off. I'm not saying he'll play every game. And if we go along the thing that it's going to be the new lad Craig plus Connell and Phillips, please God that we don't sell them. That's them 3. But we've got backups. It's not all onto Chapman or to Jorgen Nathan. Right. We have got others like Russell, who I thought played particularly well on the right-hand side of stuff. And also Conor Hourahan. You know, he's not got to play every flipping game. You know, so, and I think the defence, I know Josh thinks about Mile, and I think Mile's a decent defender. But for me, unless there's injuries, and there could be injuries based on last season, for me, there's Earl on the left, Mark Roberts on the right, and in the middle.
Oh, Mark Roberts on the right.
No, he's centre.
Yeah, Donovan Pine's in the middle.
Let's just say as well, if we do buy a left wing back.
Hang on a minute.
No.
What? Why on earth? So you want Mark Roberts to deal with their quickest player if he gets past wing back? Yeah. You want Mark Roberts to deal with their whatever team. If some team's got a quick winger, you think Mark Roberts?
No, that's the wing back. That's the wing back.
33-year-old.
That's the wing back.
No, the wing back's going to be too high.
The wing back's going to be there for
the wing back's got 2 jobs. It's not just got. That's a winger. That's just a winger. A wing back.
All right.
It's in the name. Back.
Okay. Pull back over that wing back. Now your centre half's involved because we've got to go over there and
don't diss Mark Roberts.
Deal with it.
Think of this. Mark Roberts on the right-hand side of the back three, and we've got two outside the wing back. He takes throw-ins. He can throw to their penalty area from our area.
You have Mile on the right. Yeah. You have Earl on the left. You either have Pines or Roberts through the centre.
I personally wouldn't start Mark Roberts, but I think if I did, it would be in the middle of.
I'm coming on to that in a minute. Just give me one second. Back on the midfielders, I would say midfielder. If we do get a left wing back, don't forget there's Callum Styles that can come in and play in midfield as well.
Yeah.
Just so that's an extra body. That's another. Earl can play left wing back too. I mean, he played full back when he played at Preston, so he can also play there.
Okay.
We haven't played him there, so it'd be a bit edgy, but yeah. The comment you made where you said Mark Roberts is past it. He's past it. He's a centre back.
No, he's not.
I'm telling you, how old was he when he retired? I mean, look at Thiago Silva, 40-year-old.
Exactly.
Bossing Premier League.
Exactly.
I think,
he's back home. He's back home. He's going to love it here. He's going to start playing again. Just because he went to your defunct club that goes and has about 20,000 players coming in every season.
I think Gabriel's working on the premise.
Every manager gets 10 games, and whether they're good or bad, they're shipped out. Like he did with John Hughes. Well, Rowett, you kicked him out when you were in playoffs because you didn't play a style of football that your owners wanted. I think he's going to like it being back here.
Gabe must be working on the premise that if Mark Roberts hadn't got injured last season, if he'd have played a lot more games than he did and played for Birmingham, they'd have got relegated last season. But he didn't play, and what happened, Gabe? Still got relegated. So I won't tell too much on Gabe's back three. Oh, your tools come to that. Get him on right-hand side. He's a great player. He'll play wherever he can play.
Andy, you've lost this vote, mate. It's not going to work.
If Pines is injured, then Roberts in the middle and Mile to the right. I do accept that. Yeah. But Mile can play in the middle as well. He started off playing in the middle as well, Mile. He can play there. I like him coming through with the ball.
I'd rather have Lopata playing at right than Roberts.
God, no. Lopata needs selling. Ponderous. Really ponderous.
So
You'll be surprised.
I think mobility is an issue for Mark Roberts. Now, I think in the middle of the back three, that could be mitigated a little bit. But even if you look at him from a point of view of heading balls out of the box, he can win his headers. But for me, it's often a bit unconvincing and it feels a bit awkward. And I think he sort of stumbles a lot. And maybe that's at championship level and League One, it'll be okay. But I personally don't see him or Horahan making an impact.
I can't wait for him to make team at season.
Get them t-shirts. I'll get on to Tom about them t-shirts. Don't worry about it, Craig.
Guys, clip it up.
I'll get them sorted out, Craig.
That's what I think. I don't particularly rate the signing.
Okay.
No, I must admit, I sat the same as you, Gabe. I thought the same of Robert, and also I didn't like the Hurry won all of the player coach role. I agree with you. It's one or the other. It's not both.
I'm more likely to be won over by the back three of Mile, Pines, and Earl. I can kind of be persuaded by that, but I personally don't really see Roberts, having much of an impact.
No, neither do I. I thought when he did come back, I was like, it's good depth to have, and it's good to have sort of the experienced head to help the others come along as well, and help them adapt to league a bit as well, and play in the AFL. But apart from that, to me, it's not one that really enhances the first 11. We'll see. One that has a little bit of depth to it. We will.
I'm going to take this. When this is uploaded, I'm going to take this bit as a clip. Yep. Ready. You
do that.
I've put it elsewhere.
If Matt Roberts got one game at right centre back, I will shave my hair off. That's how convinced I am that he will not.
Right now, I want to see him play at right centre back.
He will not play one game at right centre back.
Make it happen live again,
Derby tomorrow. Derby tomorrow.
In the back three, Josh, is the caveat.
Yes.
Oh,
you can't have right centre back in a 2.
We're eyeing up that loophole then, you see.
Already, you see, working on loopholes already.
You see,
could be a politician.
I don't.
I've seen enough of them.
So in terms of signing Craig, you think left wing back if Styles goes and two forwards or just two signings?
So yeah,
Two
so
signings, yeah.
yeah. So I think two strikers. What? Sorry, you were on something, Craig, weren't you?
Yeah, left wing back and a striker. I think we could also maybe do with maybe two left wing backs if Styles goes.
Depending,
Because I don't think Josh. I'm not convinced by O'Keefe playing at left wing back, which he's been playing during pre-season, and I don't think Josh Earl will be a convincing left wing back to rely on for a sustainable period. He's okay for the odd game, but yeah, I think if Styles goes, two left wing back striker. If Styles stays, just a left wing back and a striker. Yeah.
Andy, you feeling the same?
It all depends. If we're keeping the same players, if nobody else is leaving that we would expect to be in the first team, so if Callum Styles was playing, then for me he's the natural left wing back, and barring injuries and everything else, he should play there. He might have a few off games, in which case, like anybody else, he shouldn't play. I do think we've got some cover there if there's an injury or a suspension or whatever. Not always as convincing. So it'd be nice to have a left wing back. Certainly one left wing back if Callum Styles is looking at leaving. I don't want it to get to the last day and all of a sudden we're loaning him out or flogging him. And
it will be.
And we haven't got a left wing back. Just a dedicated left wing back, if you like, to start. So maybe a left wing back, two strikers for me. I think we've got Cosgrove, who as a decent target man, he showed right towards the end of the season. It's easy to see how he didn't do much early on in the season, but he rarely got picked. He had some injuries, but he rarely got picked by Collins. And we, the number of times that we played high balls up to players that weren't there, like Devante Cole and to Max Watters, who aren't target players, and they didn't stand a chance of winning it. And then as soon as we started playing Cosgrove, we stopped playing high balls up to him. So it just seemed a bit wasteful when he did play. So it just seemed all a bit stupid. But if he plays, we've certainly got players that can get the ball on his head. But he needs somebody to play with. I accept completely about Jallo. He should play some of the games, and I would like to see him giving a good go. Now, whether that's in different formations or whether it's part of a top, a front two or a front three or wherever, wherever formation, definitely. I think Max Watters has got a lot to show us before he's convincing, because he can play. We've got to play to his strengths, but there's a time comes when you can't keep saying we've got to play to his strengths. If we play to his strengths and he's still missing sitters, I'm not convinced he's the answer outside of some of the strikers.
Trouble with Max Watters, Andy, is I think he moved too early. So he had this massive hot streak when he was at Crawley, where he scored loads of goals, and then he went to Cardiff. And I think it was a 2 division jump and it was too much for him. And then I think he's kind of lost a bit of confidence and momentum from that. So it might be that he has to rebuild his career in League Two, like you've done with Andrew Dallas loaning him out.
Yeah, I mean, we've had too many strikers that haven't made it. Andy Dallas, I've got good hopes for him at the start of last season, so I thought he might be able to make it, and he's not done. Ollie Shaw didn't even get a look in. And Max Watters.
Can we just say, though, they weren't really given a chance?
No, I know,
to be quite honest.
But there must, you can either put that down to them or put that down to
I'm not saying there wasn't a reason. I'm just saying, personally, as a fan, I didn't see a reason that there wasn't good enough to at least have a few more starts.
I thought Andy Dallas showed some good movement early on.
Energy,
but it weren't to be. So we're going what we've got. I think that I've said we're about Jallo, and I've said what I think about Watters. There's others. There's others, but are they going to be top strikers that could get us into the top 6? No.
There's no guarantees in football, though.
I know there isn't, but what you want is at least one, but for me, preferably 2, because it only takes a suspension, and you got to remember Sam Cosgrove has got an ability to get himself sent off. He plays on the edge, so we've got to remember that he could do that. He's feisty. Let's put it that. He's Brusson. What we wanted.
He's not the only one, Andy.
He never faked in an empty room, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy that we got somebody finally got somebody that's not happy that if they're going to get buffeted, they're going to have some back. I'm all for that. I'm all for, but that comes with its own issues, you know. So so we do. For me, we do need to at least one good, maybe one good, a really good young striker that we could help bring on, like you've said about loans, but also one really positive striker. You know, push the boat out a little bit without going down. Well, Norwood did it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Norwood came and
they were brilliant.
They knew we were in a game. You know,
Well,
whoever played against him knew they were in a game.
Can I ask though, guys? We mentioned Norwood there. The club sold him, I think it was in August, to Oldham when they were in the National League. And I'm just wondering, I don't know quite what any sort of extenuating circumstances were there, but does the fact that the club was willing to sell Norwood to the National League actually make us a bit apprehensive that either in this window or in the next one, Adam Phillips and Luke Connell are going to be cashed in on? Especially if, let's say, get to January and Barnsley are a little bit of a way off the playoffs. You know, are you going to think, actually, this is a chance to... I know Connell's got another 4 years on his contract, but Barnsley are going to try and take the money if it's offered to them.
It's difficult to answer because they have shown us aspects in the past where they'll just accept any offer. But they have also shown us that they'll say no as well. I mean, they've said no plenty of times to bid for Con Styles.
I suppose you got the right fee for him. That was
yeah,
a huge fee, wasn't it?
This is what I mean. I think the owners are developing over time, and they're learning that they can get what they want for a player. You know, they're just got to be willing to stick it out. They put a price out there, and that's it. You know, and that's what they did with Kitchen. They went, right, unless you meet this figure, he's not leaving. You know,
I think Norwood were a different kettle of fish, really. That we offered.
I think Norwood had some personal things going off that, and I heard that they were paying him more than we were. So,
well, they offered him a 2 or 3 year contract. We offered him a 1 year contract extension, and that were partly because Andy, of his age. I mean, it's wrong. I think we should have kept him, truthfully, but I also think it's the right thing to do for him. You know, a guy of James's age who literally nearly beat Sheffield Wednesday on his own at Wembley. He really put it out. Why he didn't start is beyond me.
So Andy, I can totally. I like that the club put James Norwood's wants and needs, personal needs first in one sense, because I think you run better as a club when you think about players as human beings as well as footballers. At the same time, I'm also looking at it and thinking you didn't really replace James Norwood like for like. And I'm sort of wondering, could the club have been more ruthless and said, actually, you know what? We want you to get the move that you want, but actually for us to move forward, we need to have a centre forward that's of a similar ability with similar qualities that we feel that we can take a chance on. And to my memory,
that Cosgrove though, I don't know. Will that Cosgrove?
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, but a completely different player profile. This has been the biggest issue, is when we have lost a big player, we've never adequately replaced them. The only string of players I can think of that we've adequately replaced were when Hourihane went, we got Moat in. When Moat went, we got Connell in. You know, they were all like for like, left-footed midfielders who were really good playmakers. And that's the only aspect I've seen where that's been done. But when it comes to strikers, we're really way off the pace when it comes to finding what combination works up top. Because we tried the big man, little man. It worked all right last season. Were okay until Devante stopped outperforming his own XG. But we've got to
getting very data there.
I said it.
Don't get him going for Christ.
Oh, get ready now. That's it. He's getting the whole story now. Right?
Okay, now.
In November last year,
we've been doing this an hour already.
In November last year, I said that we would drop like a stone. Right, and they all started laughing at me.
We finished sixth.
All right.
How much of a stone is that?
Calm. Your head's getting red. Calm down.
We went from 5th to 6th.
No, I said we were going to drop like a stone when Devante stopped scoring. And what did we do? Devante stopped scoring and we started dropping down the table. That's what happened. It just happened a lot later than I expected it to. Yeah, we still dropped from second.
We weren't second.
We were.
What, in second half against Bolton on 14th of March?
Exactly, yes. It doesn't matter, we were there.
Devante had stopped
You
scoring.
know,
by
It's
game
only
hadn't
been for
finished,
10
don't
minutes
you?
or something.
You do know Devante had stopped scoring by that point because he was in the
Yeah,
middle of his
that's-
20 game goalless streak.
That's what I'm saying. He's top scoring and we dropped like a stone.
No, he was in the middle of it in that Bolton
middle
game.
of the game.
And we'd gone up to second.
In the game.
He'd still stopped scoring.
Yeah, but the two
That's
things
what I
didn't-
mean. It happened
it didn't
later than
co-
expected.
No, but the two things never actually correlate between.
Well, it's not going to hit the same exact day.
No,
that he
but they
stopped
didn't.
scoring. I mean,
Yeah, but
it's some
Devante
wiggle
stopped
room,
scoring
Josh.
in January, and we started falling in April. Like there was a 3-month period of them when we were still
I'm
actually.
sure he
going.
scored in February.
When all right, a 2 month. There's still 2 months. So you mean what? 12 games in that time.
It's good 2
No, he
goals
was
in
injured for
second
a
half
while.
of the season.
So them two things didn't correlate. And we're saying this as though we've lost the 20 goals that Devante scored. We've lost the impact of John McAtee from a forward perspective.
Yeah.
That still leaves us with 60 goals that we scored last season.
Yeah.
We scored 82. Yeah. There's still 60 goals in that team. The one thing that our main problem was conceding. We conceded the 9th most goals in that league. That you had to go all the way down to 14th, I think it's Northampton, were the next side in terms of position that had conceded more goals than us. So we had a low mid-table defence with a top 3 attack, which obviously comes from the creativity at the midfield. And I think the thing that we've improved is that back 3 now looks a little bit safer than what it did last season from the start of the season, where we've got the 2 non-league players who surrounded MDG, and then we to the point of where Neil Collins didn't trust any centre backs we got, so we had to put Jordan Williams at centre half for 3/4 of the season, which it just didn't work because that cost us a goal a game. And I think the fact that we've fixed them issues now, that we've got the rotation of 4 or 5 decent centre backs that are at least League One level. There's a potential for them to be high League One level. I'm not sure about that yet, but the problem which we had has been solved. And I think the platform that we're starting from this season is a little bit higher in that aspect because we can probably nick a game 1-0, whereas there were no chance we could do that last season. We had to score at least 2 each game to get a win, and we had to score at least 1 to get a draw.
Our worst run of results come at end of season though, when we were expected to have solved that.
Yeah, but we didn't because we
got better results with kids.
We didn't
solve
it.
We loaned out Lapata, Jack Shepherd. Pines got injured. Yeah. Pines' injury was the start of the downfall of Pines' injury because that really upset. That was going to basically the golden signing that took us up. And at the point of the 3 or 4 games he did play, not only did he contribute defensively, but he scored 2 or 3 goals. We're getting the offensive pullback as well, having a big Brussels centre half in there. So I think the fact that we've addressed that defensive issue, I think it does allow us to be a little bit more selective in an attacking sense because we don't have to necessarily rely on the front 2 to score because we have got Adam Phillips who's capable of scoring 15 a season and probably getting at least maybe 10 assists, something like that. So you're getting 25 goals contributions from midfield just in one player. And then you've got, if we need it, the set-piece delivery of Connell, the set-piece delivery of Hurrian, if we've got some trees in there as well of Roberts, Pines, Earl, who are all 6'3", 6'4". Osgrove. There's different ways which we can attack now rather than it just having to be like we need 2 strikers, we need 2 strikers.
Think back to last season, Josh. Number of times we had free kicks or corners. I don't know about you. Certainly when we had corners, I thought straight in goalkeeper's hands or he's going to head it clear unchallenged. Don't think that this season.
Oh, no, that wasn't the worst. The worst was when you get all centre-backs in the area and they pass it short and it goes straight back to the goalkeeper. Yeah. That was the most frustrating thing I've ever seen in my life.
We're going to score. I think we'll score a lot more goals from set pieces.
Yeah, I do.
Deliver, people that can fight for it to get on the end of it.
I just hope we can get the right strikers in because I don't think Cosgrove is going to be enough with Jallow. I think they'll probably get a few goals between them, but Cosgrove for me, I know I played well towards the end of the season. Don't get me wrong, but he also played a lot of that season where he didn't play well. Obviously, I think that one more Collins not playing to his style. I think playing under Clark will be a lot better because when he does go direct, having the dynamic midfielders that we have in Connell and Phillips to go up to run up as the ball's being played up to him to be able to get close to him so he can head it down to them. I think that could be really strong this season.
Do you not
So
think though, guys? I think Josh outlined the possible defensive improvement really well, and definitely made a pretty good case of that. And obviously, the midfield does look
You're
does
going to
look
change your
pretty.
article then. You're going to change it
The midfield does look
because
strong.
we're still going 16 and above. We're on.
Yeah, we're still on for that. But I think you're going into the season with 4 or 5 additions still needed, or the last week of the season, and I'm just not sure that that's a great position for the club to be in.
we are known for getting 3 or 4 in last few days because, well, the penny pinchers are owners. You know, they will try and eke a deal out as long as it takes, and we've lost a lot of people
But other than
from
other than
that.
the loan market, Craig, is anyone actually
No,
going
I
to
mean
want to
even
let?
buying players as well.
No, no,
We
I know you mean that, but are players actually going to want to let players go if they're going to be starting seasons? Maybe there's the European market, but you're looking at clubs wanting to start sell players like right before the opening day in terms of the domestic market, other than
well,
loans.
the
So
the way I look at it, I think this season's unique because of the Euros. I think a lot of obviously Olympics as well. There's a lot of young kids playing in the Olympics as well. So I think players are returning back to their main teams a lot later than say in a normal season.
Are they
So
players
I
we're going to be looking at?
so
Then
I
League
think
One?
so I
Are we
think they're
looking
going to
at players that are playing at European Championship in League One?
no, but what I'm saying is some of these young players that they might want to sell or they might want to loan out could take places of people that they sell. You know, they might sell I don't know, a Champions League quality player and they want to fetch a League One quality player through and build him up like we do. You know, but if they keep him, they'll loan him out to a League One. You know, it's the market's different. Like I say, some players might learn later on that they're not as integral to plans as they thought they were. You know, things happen, circumstances changes. Everybody sees it as this big. You know, at start at transfer window, everybody's lining up to get dragged in by a squad. It's not how it works. You know, some players might have family members, you know, that have issues and they have to move closer to home like Norwood did. It's it's just
We
I'm
did
sick of
say that we were going to get some in early, so they've got a pre-season with us and get the friendlies in. And if that's what we thought, and I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us as fans. I'm assuming it's frustrating for Darryl Clark and the rest of them. But we did say that, and we need. It's no good leaving it till the last day or part way into the season to then start again. A striker then has got to learn how we play and how he fits into it. It needs to be this week, if humanly possible, to get at least a week's training. There's no other friendlies after tomorrow against Derby, so they need to get in and get training ready for the game.
This is the other point I would say, Andy, because when Darryl Clark built successful teams, first of all, one of them was at Bristol Rovers, where he had a core of players with a mentality that he sort of shared, if you like, with a real. Now, I suppose Barnsley would argue they brought in a couple of leaders, a couple of big dressing room players like Conor Hourihane and Mark Roberts. So I think in that respect, I think that they can make a contribution. But I think that it's going to be difficult for players coming into a Darryl Clark side because I think he likes to have players that he feels like he can trust. And similarly, when he was at Port Vale, he had this massive overhaul of players one summer in his first summer and did a lot of business early. So this is going to be a little bit different to how he's maybe worked previously in terms of scrambling at the last minute to strengthen sort of 3 or 4 areas of the best 11.
saying as well as towards end of transfer windows and things, people's prices go down. The clubs get desperate to sell. You know, I mean, look at the
I
whole
don't think that's true.
No,
Craig.
I mean, look
the
at Osimhen. They weren't even going to do a deal with
Yeah, but look at Liam
Lukaku.
Kitchen. We'd have sold him for 3 million at start of window, but cost Coventry were desperate to sign him. We got 5.
Yeah, but
it's
that's a team that's desperate to buy. I'm
Yeah,
talking
that's
about
what-
teams that are desperate to sell.
No,
They will lower the price if they
I
need the
don't think
body
clubs
out.
are desperate to sell though, Craig.
No.
Unless
It depends
they're
who
in
the
a
player is. It depends who the club is.
I don't think that's
You
true.
don't
I
know.
think clubs.
No.
I mean, look at the striker at Luton for the
Joe
striker
Taylor.
we were talking about. Yeah, what if Luton now buy a striker in the next 2 weeks and they no longer have room in the squad for him? They're going to loan him out. So he then will become available later on in the window.
So loans, I agree. Loans happen later in the window.
Yeah,
Craig.
well, I'm talking primarily loans, but that could also
yeah,
happen
so
for
loans. You're correct. I agree with you on loans.
But it could also happen for, I don't know, let's say we're looking at a striker, the team that we want a striker from, buy another striker, and they're like, all right, we no longer need that striker, so we can sell him to Barnsley. I mean, it's fluid, it's moving, constantly changing.
But then on that though, then the club knows you're interested in them. They know you want that player. So now they're going to be like, oh, because you want him, here's 100 grand off him. They're going to go, you want him, you buy him.
Yeah, but money is so tight in the game now that they just want his wages gone.
Not that tight.
Because they've just signed a new player.
It's not that tight.
That's very rarely the case, Craig, personally.
Well, not for somebody like Birmingham. No, but for a little old Barnsley,
Craig.
Little old Barnsley, our highest wage is about
for
£7 grand.
Tell him, Craig.
Our highest wage is about £7 grand. So, I mean, if we wanted to, we've had a load leave, and we haven't had a load come in yet to cover them wages, so we've still got wages available. But if we needed to sign a big player, we'd need to get rid of somebody. Wages, it's in this lower leagues. It's a bit daunting, to be fair.
Get Smithy up front. That's what I say. I've had the privilege of seeing Smithy play football up front, and you'd be surprised. I'd be surprised and I'll come to that, but
I saw him put out a post that Smith was signing in goal, and there were a picture of him in there. But we actually signed Jackson Smith.
I had the privilege of watching him score a penalty in front of Pontyend.
Yeah, I know.
Proven goal scorer, if I've ever seen one. At this level.
What's he doing next Friday?
Hobbling.
That's why he's into here. He's in pre-season training today.
It's just got to get a new hip and a new knee and everything else. A new brain probably and all, but there you go.
He's stalking out players he ain't got an autograph for yet.
He is.
And a picture with him.
Yeah.
Before we pack in, Josh, can I just give a shout out? Because I said I was going to do it about a week now.
You can do, because we're just about to pack it in.
I know. A week and a half ago, and you'll understand why. I were at a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks ago. I were at a weekend. I were in Pontefract at a tournament, a soccer tournament for all ages, but starting with young ones and gradually as the day went on.
Don't call it soccer.
It went for women and for older folk. And Noah plays for Rotherham schoolboys, so they were there. And as we'd finished, because it were early on in the day, the younger ones. As the day went on, as we were coming away and just going about to have an ice cream before we wended our weary way, there were a group of about 5 or 6 lads, all in red, not all Barnsley strips, all in red, who were, let's put it this way, didn't look like they were going to win. And I don't know if they did or not. They didn't look like they were going to win. But one of them red shirts were a Barnsley red shirt. Others weren't a Barnsley red shirt. A guy called Martin. So I thought, I had a quick natter with him. So I went to her, said, now then, it's nice to see a Barnsley shirt in the middle of an oasis. It's like an oasis in the middle of the Pontefract desert. So we had a good natter. And, he were a very personable guy. And he said he gets fed up with Barnsley fans being negative all the time and get over yourselves and all that. But his first gambit was, you're that Andy or Fred all over, aren't you? Even in darkest, deepest Pontefract, there were that. Right. And he said, I said, are you going to get...
Antarctica, is it?
I know. It's West Yorkshire. Come on. It's not, it's not a footballing hotbed, is it? It's Pontefract. I know we got one player from Pontefract, but, it felt a bit like a desert. Let's put it that way. But the Barnsley fan, Martin, bless his cotton socks, he said, I said, are you going to win? Are you going to win your league? They didn't look like they were going to, looking at them. They didn't look, how can I put it, the fittest or the most mobile of teams. So now I'm going to get abuse off him in the comments. And I said, I gave him a shout out. And he said, what you need to do, I said, if I gave you a shout out, watch it, because you need to put in the comments how you got on. And he said, put a quid on us. Put a quid on us to win this competition. And you'll see. And I'll put it in the comments irrespective. Right. Do you know what the team were called? 1,000 to 1 FC. 1,000 to 1. So if they've won, I'd have got 1,000 quid. I didn't bet.
Oh, your caps there, Josh.
I didn't bet.
No.
Didn't bet. So Martin, tell me how 1,000 to 1 got on. I'm waiting with bated breath.
We've got Gary Neville then making a little appearance in the corner.
Ah,
Oh, what's your cat's actual name?
Gary Neville.
Really?
Yeah, he's called Gary Neville.
Do you call him saying Gary Neville, or do you just say Gary?
Just call him Neville, to be honest.
You just call him Neville. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, right. Fair.
don't like to discriminate against him or Philip.
Right, okay, yeah. Fair.
Got to keep both of them in.
yeah.
Right. We will be back at some point during the week with our 1 to 24 predictions, which we'll miss out the majority of it and do top 2, top 6, and the sides we think will be relegated. Make sure to go and give Gab a follow on Twitter. He is.
I'm expecting more unfollows than follows, to
Yeah,
be honest.
we'll see. I mean, I was going to say you're the oracle of knowledge of the EFL, but it
Not
just
when it
seems.
comes to Barnsley.
Yeah, it seems with Barnsley's your one kryptonite. It's ever since that time.
No,
You know
you
what?
got to-
I
no,
was
no,
I
no.
was shocked. I was shocked when I read the article. To be honest, I was like, I thought he liked us.
It does. There has been times on Twitter when when I'm talking about you, Gabe, when he says, "I sometimes feel more at home at Barnsley with Barnsley FC and in Barnsley as a town than I do in my
it's
own
true.
city."
Oh, definitely. The sort
That's
of
what we're talking about earlier. Small
Yeah.
town, close knit.
I love Market Kitchen. They do some great stuff over there, don't they?
And we take advantage of it, Gabe, don't we?
We've got a Popeyes and a TGI's now.
I know. Oh, apparently, at Oakwell, you've got this Michelin star thing in the Ponty End. Or is it the Ponty End?
These won't know. These
Well,
won't
not
know.
with
Gabe.
Ponty End. We don't even get chicken
Not
flatbreads.
Pont. It'll be our East Stand in posh seats. East Stand.
Andy's neck at Woods.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Not that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what there's always different offers on that's weird and wonderful. You know, we had chicken flatbreads under Khaled. I don't know if we're still going to have chicken flatbreads this coming season, but they're a work of art. These won't know because they've not tried them because they're not allowed in East Stand.
I'm in East Stand tomorrow night.
Ruffians.
We get Pop and Chris in West End.
And nice toilets.
Yeah, you get maybe one toilet if you put them all
I
together.
tell you what, I can't stand going to a football match and having horrendous toilets.
Oh,
Don't go West End then.
I'm over at West End.
Don't go West End.
I'll get that a miss. Any other stand, you'll be all right.
I mean, they were old.
The fanzine in its own was a warning against that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Portaloos.
Yeah.
Although when the one game when we played Portsmouth, when they closed the East Stand and we had to go in the West Stand, my son fought against the whole of the Barnsley fans coming out of the West Stand, so he could pay homage back to our old times when we were in the West Stand and used, how can I put it, the West Stand toilets. Let's call them that, the West Stand, because it was traditional. I'm glad I've got strong boots on.
They haven't changed since 1960s, 50s. Probably since the built, just stayed the same.
I think there's a sink being put in. I know that much.
Yeah, it is a little bit more posh now. We've got hand soap as well.
Yeah.
And a push down one, not a bar. we've really got up market in West End. Yes,
so thing to be old, Gabe. I think
we'll be back with our League One predictions. And a massive thank you to Gabe for coming on and justifying that 17th position prediction. I will leave a link to the article in the description below if you want to go and read it. It is a long scroll though until you find.
Make sure to leave his Twitter as well so he can have it.
So you can shout at, so you can tweet abuse at me.
Thanks for the t-shirts, Gabe, as well. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. What do I need to do, Andy? Get you if Barnsley finish above 17th, get you all 4 t-shirts.
Yeah, 4 t-shirts. Don't worry about what they are because I think I'll get Tom Webster on it. It'll be something like, because there's an R in Gabriel, it can have Gabriel Wrongen.
Okay,
Wrongen.
perfect. I look forward to that. That'd be great.
I can sort it out with Tom. Don't you worry
But
about
Gabriel's are wrong.
Yeah.
If Tom does it though, everything will be wrong size.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I've seen those templates, Tom, and you have not.
I tell you what, I'll get one of those for myself, so we can all wear them.
Perfect. Right, we'll be back at some point in the weekend with our predictions, and yeah, we'll see you later. Hopefully, it'll be a positive season for the Reds. I'm hoping that Andy or Craig, you're closer to being right than what Gabe is and myself, but we'll see. We'll see you later. You Reds.